any other thing where creative is involved, it's death by committee.
Yes.
Yep.
It's just like people who have never succeeded at something who just got a board position that are putting their fucking input where it doesn't belong.
And well, they're like, hee, my joke will be funny.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
my
I've
dad
been
said
doing
so.
this
Who
for
runs
a
the
living.
company?
Yeah, my dad owns it.
Yeah.
My dad owns Nintendo.
Yeah. No, it's you're right, and it's 1,000 times worse now. I don't know like how far back you worked on, but it's all committee. I mean, that's what pretty much destroyed Marvel. But if you go and look at your average crap Star Trek episode that comes out, last one I reviewed, I counted 21 producers.
Oh my God.
21
Jesus fuck,
producers.
dude.
So we have
One director, 21 producers.
What the fuck are all these producers sitting around doing?
paid.
You know, if they were doing coke, it
making
would
bad
make
jokes.
sense. Like that would make sense. But it's just people glomming on.
they want their name attached.
They want their name attached to it.
If it's successful, so we shot an entire season of our show. I've showed like one episode to you.
Yeah.
Those, and then shit happened. We had to refilm season 1 and then do the changes for it. And because the original season 1 that wasn't aired, fucking
Season 1 would have worked.
oh, it was so good. I was so pissed that I was like, this. It was one of the few. I hate watching my own shit. When I can watch it, I'm like, this is good.
Are you allowed to say the name?
Yeah, Brothers in Arms.
Brothers in Arms. So, to my understanding of what happened, they took a show called Brothers in Arms and then decided that guns are too political. So, we'll take out the arms of Brothers in Arms, but keep the name. So, you'll just do random military shit.
He's not fucking joking. So.
This is a military show without the guns. Is what the hell?
It
was a gun show at first,
for
right?
History Channel. This is a gun show on the History Channel that pivoted because the Vegas shooting happened.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're like, we can't have a gun show. And you're like, what? So we watched all of it. I was like, yo, this is like an actual. I was fucking proud of it. I was like, holy shit. And they're like, we got bad news. We have to refilm it all. I'm like, what? What are we? Military restoration show now. What? I barely know how to build a gun. I'm supposed to restore a tank now, and then we'll do the jokes around that, and then the guns will be like secondary. It's just Rocco and you, and it's your show. And I didn't watch the last 3 shows because they were so bad. My own TV show that was airing, I was like, I don't even care about my number. I'm going to just turn that TV off and walk away.
So do you see that happening in like Hollywood right now? There's just like too many fucking producers and
Yes.
people just trying to turn it around because of the political spectrum or like the social spectrum.
Yes. They don't want to really fix anything. They've got Hollywood has gotten way too woke. They've recognized that now. But they were on like a bender for a good 4 years where they thought everything they were doing was right. But like with Marvel in particular, they started out like with Iron Man, there was no script. So they just kind of, but that's John Favreau. You have Robert Downey Jr. ad-libbing. These are two like
And he
people
fought for Robert Downey Jr. because he was.
I was just gonna bring that up. I'm sorry, like earlier, I was just gonna bring that up because it sounds like the fucking it's the opposite of the death by producer thing because you have like basically any good fucking startup, you have somebody with a vision like John Favreau. You've got like a good like little like ragtag crew who pulls off a massive multi-$100 million movie out of fucking thin air, and then everybody comes along and ride the coattails and fucking ruins it.
Yeah, and they thought that kind of set the template of like how the Marvel method there's a Marvel method in comics and now there was one for movies where they can just like, we can change shit at the end. Doesn't matter. And it worked for a little while because they had a really cohesive unit. They had Joss Whedon there, Edgar Wright. These are people who were kind of guiding the way, who were like really knew what they were doing.
Talented
directors, talented actors, characters people gave a shit about. Then after Endgame, Hollywood starts going crazy, and Kevin Feige comes out and says, we're going to put as many women as we are men in the MCU. It's like, why? Who even brought that up? Well,
Nobody was talking about
nobody
that.
was talking about it. He got embarrassed by Wonder Woman. Like Wonder Woman did well. Like the one DC movie that did well, he got embarrassed by it. So he's like, we're going to bring in
Like
Captain
I didn't mind
Marvel.
Wonder Woman. It was all right. Like
It was all
pretty
right.
decent.
Yeah. There's no reason to destroy the MCU, but that's what he did. He brought in Captain Marvel, who has never been popular in the comics. She was when she was Miss Marvel, but not as Captain Marvel. Go watch my videos on that. It kind of breaks it down. And yeah, he like half the characters became women, and that wasn't the issue. The issue was like what they did to the remaining legacy male characters. And nerds give a shit about this stuff. And by the way, they're the ones who pay for everything. So Kevin got rid of all the talent and went down this weird MCU highway, and they oversaturated with Disney Plus coming out, which I call D Plus during COVID. Bob Iger, by the way, resigned from being a CEO right before COVID started. That was weird.
Yep.
That was weird timing.
They got brought right the fuck back in.
Got right back in right when COVID was over. Really weird how that happened.
Weird play.
Strange play there. Had a big scapegoat for all the stuff that they were trying, Bob Chapek. And like that, and it's overproduced content. Bob Iger even came out and blamed the director for Captain Marvel. This is a famous one. I've done a couple of maybe 4 videos on this. So Nia DaCosta was an inexperienced director. They brought in for Captain Marvel, and Hollywood now casts directors. They don't hire them, so they can prance around, and go, look, we got this woman of color directing. A woman of color.
This is
has never directed a superhero movie on a Thursday in September. So that's what they keep doing.
In directing, directing is the hardest fucking thing you can do. It is not something easy or you can just toss somebody in a role. People do not understand.
You're wrangling fucking cats.
You're wrangling cats, and you are trying to get your vision, and you have to tell people to shut the fuck up. It's why Tarantino's like, what's on the fucking script? Read the fucking script. Or your different directors and how they cover down. If you break that, or you're just hiring people based off of not talent, but just whatever else, you are going to have a piece of shit at the end. Because they're not going to get the best action. They're going to change or cave to, who was it? There was one person that filmed something, and it was a short with a lot of money behind it. And I remember the actor was like, yeah, they let us change the script as we see it. I was like, that is going to fucking bomb. They're like, well, why? I was like, you just told me your director caved to you. I was like, as a director, I would have told you to fuck off. You're not changing my script or my vision. Fuck off. They're like, uh-oh. And it came out and fucking bombed because of that. Because a director's position it's like Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson did how many years of previs going into that?
It started in 97, I want to say.
Jeez.
Would it come out in like 01?
It came out in 2001.
Yeah.
So I want to say like they really started the process in 97. Yeah. That was a lot of time.
A lot. And then you have what you're talking about, which is
so Nia DaCosta comes in. And this is just the latest example, by the way. Marvel had been doing this pretty much since Endgame. They're bringing in inexperienced, controllable directors so these films can be produced now and not directed. And they can parade people out going, look, we got the first Asian person directing a superhero movie. It's all formulaic. And
I haven't given a shit about anything since fucking Iron Man died.
Right?
I don't fucking care.
Neither has anybody else. So the Marvels,
and I feel like they kind of knew that. Like they kind of built everything up to it, and then it just kind of, and then they blame COVID for all the failures.
If they would have just let it breathe.
Fans. They blame the fans too.
Yeah. And if they would have let it breathe, if Endgame would have happened, you took an actual break. Push off to another one, and then really okay, what is the next step into this world? You would have had hyper success instead of like, we need a new Captain America, we need the She-Hulk, and you're like, whoa, hold the fuck on. Let's reel back. No, okay, no reeling back. Okay, go on.
Well,
No,
for one, you don't kill
like
Iron Man or Cap. That was stupid. Like you recast him. It's dumb. It's just like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Well, they kind of, I guess they kind of did recast Captain America, but they did it in a really odd way.
They gave it to Sam Wilson, the Falcon, who, if you follow the Winter Soldier storyline, it's supposed to go to Bucky. The shield was supposed to go to Bucky.
It should have gone to Bucky.
Should have gone to Bucky. It's part of his redemption arc.
Exactly. I don't. It's not like, oh, Falcon's black, blah blah blah. It's
But
like
they
no,
still
it's
brought
just not.
Steve Rogers back later in the comics. So like
Really?
an old, he was old for a while, and then they brought him back because they have to.
It's comics.
Steve Rogers is Captain America. There's nothing wrong with that. You just recast him like Bond. You do that. But so back to Nia DaCosta, she ends up leaving the project early, and then Bob Iger throws her under the bus on a big New York Times thing and says, "Well, our director didn't have enough supervision from executives. So basically, you said your female of color director didn't have enough adult supervision.
And this was for the Marvels?
This was for the Marvels.
Yeah.
And to come out there and say that publicly and roll the bus over is like horror. I mean, she did a terrible job and she blamed fans, so I don't really care. I don't have a dog in this fight. I just got my popcorn out and it's like,
you're like,
this
wow,
is
you
great.
just hit that pedestrian. They were a piece of shit, but like, you still hit them.
Still
This
hit 'em.
team is cannibalizing itself. What
Yes.
the fuck?
So it's all falling apart now. And then, a bunch of us have been saying this since Endgame. We're like, if you go this Captain Marvel route, it's going to be very bad for you because you did the same crap in the comic books that we read, and the American comic book industry is dead. The superhero is dead. Like every kid's reading manga now. Every kid's watching anime. They're playing video games. They're not, reading Captain America or Spider-Man or any of that.
Well, I feel like the nerds went fucking woke. Like everybody right now that's like in the fucking comic book space
fake.
that
I
like
think
cares
In the
about that shit.
creative space, yes.
Yeah, the creative space. Like it's all a bunch of fucking either 90 pounds or 290 pound fucking nerds.
490 pounds.
That are all just like virtue signaling to people that they think they can fuck.
Work girlfriends, bringing in work girlfriends. And as my good friend Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers says, those who preach the most have the most to hide. Usually it's because they're a bunch of freaks and they have a lot of...
Check that man's internet history.
Yes.
Yeah, that goes back to fucking us talking about Twitch earlier. Like, like me getting banned for saying one word. It's like that's what all the mods are on Twitch from what I've seen.
Twitch is
ban me if you want. I don't stream anymore. Fuck you.
What is that down? You get to see how it. I love the nerd culture. How it was and how it is as a core. It's just the loud vocal ones now. I don't truly believe they are nerds.
Well, there's a difference too. It's
activists.
like I love nerds. I hate nerd culture. Right?
I even love nerd culture.
What
it's
it's
the new
become
nerd
now?
culture.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want like the new nerd culture, I wouldn't want any part of this garbage they're trying to call nerd. So we're trying to preserve the old one. There's a great documentary out there. I'm going to plug my friend if you don't mind. Chris Gore used to be on a show called Attack of the Show, G4.
Oh my god.
Oh
No.
shit.
Yeah.
You just unlocked a core memory.
God damn.
I remember
We all know that.
G4 TV. Holy fuck.
Yeah, so he did a documentary of that era and kind of the end of it called Attack of the Doc. It is on YouTube. You can watch it for free with commercials. It's the best documentary I've seen in 10 years. It's
New
about
tab. Don't click away.
It's about new tab. And it's a love letter to the nerd culture that basically died a few years ago. And hopefully it comes back. That's what we're trying to preserve because it was fun. It used to be fun. We didn't care what your politics were.
No,
We
don't
didn't
give a shit.
We just cared about Olivia Munn.
Yeah.
And Webb.
There's a lot of Olivia Munn in that, by the way.
Morgan Webb.
Yeah.
That's an OG. That was the
That is
before
a name
G4.
I have not heard in a long time.
Long time.
The only girl I've waited in line to get an autograph. That was like me before anything. I was like, I'm gonna wait at my first PAX, and I was like, I was dressed as Solid Snake at that, and she's like, of
course you were.
I like this outfit. She's like, I was like, thank you. Sign that. Cool. Walk away.
How old were you?
I was unfortunately still like 26 or 7 at that point.
Somewhat forgivable.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I watched her
You're
since
on
I
the
was like
cusp.
12. I was like, hey, this person I'll wait
Attack
for.
of the Show was great. That was the peak time for nerd culture was up until about 2013 and 14.
God, that's how I would. That's how I would track, like, pay attention to video games that I couldn't afford back then. I was like, man, I can't play the game, but I'll watch the shit out of somebody talk about whether or not it's good.
Oh man, this is dope. Fuck. Man, it sucks that the nerd culture is where it's no different than the gaming culture. You had that mass flood of mobile games. Everyone was in a quote unquote gamer or just very basic and like, I'm a gamer. Same for anime right
I
now.
play Fortnite.
And I'm not a gatekeeper. I want people to consume this media. It is just understand the culture behind.
Yeah, nerds are very welcoming people. They will share, as a matter of fact, overshare everything with you that they love. Okay,
Called autism.
It is. So if
If you ask about their favorite train, you're fucked.
you're screwed. Oh, you're on a live stream and you say the word anime, you will get 90 minutes of anime recommendations, which is awesome. That's the way it's supposed to be. But the activist culture that has come in, which is basically a bunch of dudes and women who took
Activist
women's
culture is
study.
the best way to. Holy shit! I never thought about that. That is now how I will describe that.
That's what games media, I call them access media. So the gaming media, entertainment media has all become activism. So, and they frame everything, every review, every article on, like, say you're writing a story about American history. Well, how does it relate to now? Like, how, are you exposing the colonizers or some crap like that instead of like showing something for what it is?
Like, I just want to tell you what happened.
Yeah, I just want to tell you a story. But that's where DEI comes in. DEI has kind of effed up everything over the last 10 years. They were very open about it a few years ago. They're not so, they're kind of trying to hide their internet history now. And we've had the BlackRock founder come out in 2017 saying we want to force behaviors and we're going to do it through corporate culture, which in turn turns into Hollywood. We have the new Oscar rules.
DIY.
Diversity,
DEI.
equity, and inclusion.
Oh, this is actually that rating program that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet Baby Inc.
It's why fucking doors fall off of airplanes now.
Watch this, Cody. Do you know what this is?
No, I know exactly what it is.
Okay, for the viewers out there, because I just learned this like as of a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I was like, this makes so much more sense because we have experienced different sides of this, but seeing how it's affecting everything and then hearing about it and then reading and doing research, I was like, oh, this is a fucking thing. Holy shit!
And it's been a thing, and it's been creeping into every institution in America. I mean, I just cover nerd and pop culture, so like it's silly stuff, but like
It's affect business. We've seen it.
Culture really isn't silly. Politics is downstream from culture, as Andrew Breitbart said, right?
Yeah.
So it affects your kids who are watching TikTok, who are playing these games, who are reading these comic books, who are watching these movies. It affects adults. It affects everyone. And again, I just keep it in the entertainment space, but when it gets serious is when it gets into our schools, which it's already infiltrated and destroyed. And it gets into things like flying planes. And now, we make the joke, but that's what DEI does. It doesn't bring equity. It makes people question that now. It makes are you a diversity hire or did you get here on merit? Now we don't know. And that's effed up for everybody. That's up. And like just in the last 24 hours, I used to live in San Francisco, SFO. Plane was flying. I don't know if this happened in a day or the last couple of days, but a tire fell off a plane.
No, I saw that.
Crushed
all those cars.
Yeah, the United flight crushed a bunch of cars in the parking lot. And then in Houston yesterday, plane, the landing gear collapses. I mean, I'm sure this has all just been a giant coincidence. Right when DEI is being forced in by BlackRock, and they're just one of them. Yeah. And BlackRock is an investor firm. I don't know. I'm not a financial analyst, but they have a lot of influence.
They control that. They can.
Yeah. They have more influence than the president.
They control quite. So, like,
Yes.
I will say this: like, there's a bit of a media thing. Like, anytime something gets popularized and like people know that people are clicking on certain things, just like you have like the Myrtle Beach shark attacks, right?
Yep.
It could be a year where it's like this is totally statistically average.
Yep.
This happens all the time. Nobody just talks about it. But they hear like, oh, shark attacks, record shark attacks. And everybody does articles on it, even though it's like statistically insignificant. Or it's not an anomaly. How about that?
Yeah, it's just
like, and maybe this shit's been happening all the time with planes and things like that.
Yeah,
but
we're
now,
just finding out.
Now it's just kind of like, now it's in the news and things like that. But at the same time, you're 100% correct. Like, organizations like BlackRock have a shitload of political influence. They have a shitload of influence over just culture in general because they own controlling interests or interests in general in so many fucking aspects of our life. I feel like I'm on fucking Fox right now.
Well,
Are you doing your political thing right now?
I might be. I really don't like it.
It's a really easy. It's an easy
asking.
Google search to see how much stock BlackRock owns in Disney, Warner Brothers, Amazon, Netflix. Just go look. It's damn near the majority in everyone.
Also on Open Secrets and different, places like that, you can see how much BlackRock has invested in politicians. Like, for example, Tony Gonzalez. It's very weird. You can look this all up on Google. It's so crazy.
It's so crazy.
It's just an easy Google search.
Ding.